1223. Okay, so I'm placing you under arrest under suspicion of fraud.
Fraud of what?
False representation. Okay, so.
False representation of what?
So the circumstances are you're using your husband's card without permission to make purchases. Okay, so you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you not mention when questioned something which you later rely in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence.
Every year.
No one who walked past the quiet house on Tuke Road would have guessed what lived beneath its calm exterior. Before the sirens, before the courtroom, before the garden became a grave. Maureen Rickards was 50 years old when everything finally collapsed. To the outside world, she was a wife, a mother, a woman who blended easily into the background of her English neighborhood. Her life appeared ordinary, routine mornings, quiet afternoons, evenings spent behind closed curtains. But ordinary lives often hide extraordinary fractures. Her husband, Jeremy Rickards, was 65. A geologist by profession, he had spent much of his career working abroad, Saudi Arabia, Africa, places far from home. Their marriage had survived distance, time, and long absences that slowly reshape intimacy. Or at least that was the story they told others. They had been married for more than 27 years, long enough for love to harden into habit, long enough for resentment to settle quietly into daily life. In the early years, Jeremy was described as gentle and devoted. He sent letters when he was overseas. He called when he could. He returned with gifts from distant countries. Maureen spoke of him with pride back then. But time changed things. Jeremy's health declined. Diabetes weakened his body. He grew slower, more fragile, increasingly dependent. The man who once crossed continents now struggled inside his own home. And Maureen, once patient, began to change. Friends noticed the sharpness in her voice. Neighbors sensed tension behind the walls. Family members felt something was wrong, though no one could quite name it. The house carried a heaviness, like air before a storm. There were moments when Maureen stared at her reflection and barely recognized herself. She felt trapped by a life she no longer controlled, resentful of sacrifices she believed went unseen. In her mind, she carried everything alone. Jeremy felt it too, but differently. He grew quieter, smaller. He confided in friends, often disguising fear with humor. He joked about keeping the peace, but beneath the jokes lived something darker. He was afraid of conflict, of confrontation, of the woman he once loved. Still, life went on. Meals were cooked, the garden was maintained, holidays passed. From the outside, everything looked intact, but beneath the surface, the ground was already breaking. If stories of truth, betrayal, and justice matter to you, stories that reveal what can hide behind closed doors, take a moment to subscribe, like, comment, and share. These stories deserve to be seen. The warning signs did not arrive all at once. They accumulated. Jeremy began documenting arguments, dates, times, small notes kept quietly, almost apologetically. He told friends that Maureen's temper frightened him, that she shouted, that she hit him. Later, recordings would surface, her voice sharp, relentless, filling the room. "You're useless," she shouted in one recording. "No one would believe you." Neighbors recalled hearing shouting late at night, banging sounds, doors slammed hard enough to rattle walls. Jeremy's body bore bruises. He explained them away as accidents, falls, clumsiness. That is what victims often do when the person hurting them is someone they once trusted. Maureen felt justified. In her mind, she was the wronged one, the one who had waited alone while Jeremy worked abroad, the one who had sacrificed years of her life. Resentment turned into cruelty. Cruelty turned into control. She monitored his movements, his phone, his conversations. When he tried to seek help, she mocked him. "Who would take you seriously?" she said. "Look at you." Jeremy's daughter grew increasingly worried. His voice on the phone sounded strained, fearful. He spoke carefully as if someone were always listening. The house became a pressure chamber, and pressure never disappears on its own. The night Jeremy Rickards died did not begin with chaos. It began quietly. Another argument, a familiar one, words sharpened by years of bitterness. Jeremy tried to withdraw. Maureen followed. What happened next would later be reconstructed through forensic evidence, recordings, and the silence Jeremy could no longer break. Maureen picked up a knife. Jeremy was frail, diabetic, weak. He could not defend himself. 5 stab wounds, 5 irreversible moments. Blood soaked into the floor, the walls, the life they had built together. When it was over, Jeremy lay motionless. The marriage ended there, on a kitchen floor. Maureen stood over his body. Shock gave way to calculation. She did not call emergency services. She did not call family. She chose concealment. Jeremy's body was dragged into a cupboard. Days passed. Maureen slept in the same house, ate meals, answered messages. Life continued, suspended over death. Later, she moved the body again, wrapped in bin bags, dragged into the garden, buried beneath soil and garden cuttings. Above him, the garden grew. She texted Jeremy's daughter, pretending to be him. "I'm in Saudi Arabia. I've taken my own life." Each message bought time. Each message deepened the damage. But lies decay, and decay has a smell. Neighbors noticed it first. Police arrived. They dug, and beneath the garden, where life was meant to grow, they found death. The discovery shattered everything. Jeremy's body was badly decomposed, but the wounds told their story clearly. 5 stab wounds, defensive injuries, evidence of prolonged abuse. The recordings surfaced, the messages, the lies. Maureen was arrested. She denied responsibility, claimed fear, claimed self-defense, but the evidence told another story. Jeremy's family watched as the truth unfolded piece by piece. Shock turned to grief, grief turned to anger. How had they not seen it sooner? How long had he suffered in silence? The community reeled. A quiet street now carried a permanent stain. The courtroom fell silent as the verdict was read. Guilty. Murder. The prosecution laid out years of control, violence, and deception. The jury listened to the recordings, heard Jeremy's fear, saw Maureen's aggression. She showed no remorse. The judge spoke plainly. This was a sustained campaign of abuse that ended in a brutal killing. Justice arrived slowly, but it arrived. Maureen Rickards was sentenced to life in prison. Justice does not erase loss, but it acknowledges it. Jeremy's family began the long process of healing, therapy, support, speaking openly about male victims of domestic abuse. They reclaimed his story. He was no longer just a victim. He was a man who mattered. The house on Tuke Road stands quiet now. The garden has been cleared. Truth did not undo the damage, but it ended the lies. And sometimes that is where healing begins.